Hey guys, Michelle here of Michelle Beckner Family Wellness, and today, camera is at a weird angle. Today I'll be here talking about how you can prevent having a picky eater from the get-go, right when you start solids. But first, let me introduce myself and fix this camera because I don't like. You should see my setup here. My camera's on a box of chalk, being held up by one of Genevieve's baby dolls. So if you're watching the replay, just go ahead and fast forward. All right, I guess that's a little bit better. All right, so anyway, hi, welcome to the Happy Mama Healthy Baby live show, episode 15. I'm Michelle Beckner of Michelle Beckner Family Wellness. Today we're going to be talking about how to prevent having a picky eater and how to do that right from the get-go. But first, a little bit about me, a little bit about this show. I help moms take care of themselves so that they can feed their babies right. So what I do on this show is, excuse me, not cough, hopefully. What I do, okay, Tuesday nights, usually after bedtime, like around 8 o'clock or so, I'm here talking about healthy mama stuff. So I focus on how to be a calm mom, so check that out. Also just how to take care of yourself in general through not only diet but mentally and physically, I guess. And then so that you can feed your babies right. So Fridays I talk about healthy baby stuff. So I do a lot with starting solids, and I also help moms who are nursing babies that have food allergies. Yeah. So with that said, I do want to just point out real quick before we get into our topic that next Saturday, a week from tomorrow, so Saturday, July 15th, I am doing a workshop at the Birth Center, which is where both of my babies were born, at the Birth Center in Wilmington, Delaware, called Surviving and Thriving While Nursing a Baby with Food Allergies, something like that. It's going to be awesome. It's Saturday from 12 to 2, so you can get out of the house at nap time. Or you can bring the baby too if you want, whatever. But yeah, it's great for any mom who has recently made a diet change because their baby has a food allergy or intolerance, or even moms who have been dealing with having an elimination diet while breastfeeding for a while now, and even maybe kind of feel like they're pros at it and are helping other moms. Either way, it's great. We're going to talk about not only we'll spend a little bit of time on the basics of cutting certain foods out of your diet and how to deal with that and what to look for in labels and stuff like that. But what we're really going to dive into is just how to manage that change for yourself and how to actually thrive. And rise up was a word or phrase that I kind of thought of today. It's a way to, take this challenge and make yourself and your baby or even your family better for it. So yeah, we'll be talking about that on Saturday, July 15th at the Birth Center in Wilmington, Delaware. It's $35 for the 2-hour workshop. It's going to be super awesome and fun. You get to meet other moms. You'll get to meet me, which is the best part, right? And then one lucky person will win a covered goods nursing cover. So one of those kind of fabric nursing covers. Sorry, I feel like I'm really dark. That is also used as a car seat cover and stuff like that. So yeah, I bought it. I think I bought just a plain gray one because I didn't know what people like. So yeah. Share it with your friends if it doesn't apply to you. If you know anybody whose baby has any kind of allergy, share it with them. Go to mlbfamilywellness.com/events for all the info and how to register. So, all right. So today we're going to talk about preventing a picky eater from the get-go, from the very, very beginning. So really from the very, very, very beginning, a good thing that you can do when you're pregnant is eat a wide variety of whole foods, fruits, vegetables, things like that. Obviously, that's the best thing to do no matter what, no matter any time in your life. But it is, there's a lot of studies out there that show that the baby, so when the baby's in your belly, it's drinking, I shouldn't spend too much time on this because I didn't plan on talking about this, but the baby's drinking the amniotic fluid. So apparently the taste of that changes with what you eat. So already in the womb, they're getting exposed to different tastes and yeah, taste and flavor, same thing, right? So just another reason why it's really important to eat good stuff when you're pregnant. And then again, when you're breastfeeding, if you're breastfeeding, yeah, I won't get on my soapbox about it, I guess. Oh, and if you're watching, say hi. So for breastfeeding moms, it's also been shown that the taste of your breast milk changes with what you eat. So that's just another way that you're kind of setting your baby up for being a more adventurous eater, because if you're eating a variety of foods, then they kind of get used to lots of different flavors in your breast milk. So they're already kind of set up to be a little bit more adventurous and be open to trying new flavors. If you can't breastfeed for whatever reason and you're doing formula, don't worry about it. I mean, you still have time. They're exclusively breastfed or formula fed for only 6 months, which is a tiny little fraction of their life. So, yeah, the breastfeeding moms have a little bit of a head start in introducing that variety, but if you stick around, then you know what else you can do. So, who here, raise your hand or give me some likes or an emoji or whatever, if you were told to, when you're introducing new foods, to introduce one food at a time and wait 3 days to make sure you don't see any reactions. I know that's what I was told by, I don't know who, like everything that you read about starting solids, right? And I remember feeling when Genevieve, my oldest, was starting solids, I remember feeling kind of like a bad mom, because starting solids is already so overwhelming. And I remember being like, oh my God, there's just so many different types of food out there. Like, I remember writing lists to make sure that she tries everything. And then, so yeah, I was not very good at the waiting 3 days rule, because I was like totally overwhelmed and maybe like a little too excited. And I just couldn't, I felt like I had a hard time keeping track of all that stuff. And so I totally didn't do it. And I kind of felt like a bad mom for it. And then come to find out that, you know, that's not necessarily the best way to introduce solids to them. So I read in a few different studies and books that this rule, I guess you could say, recommendation started like back, maybe like the 40s and 50s, because a lot of bad baby advice came around then. When pediatricians were recommending to start your baby on solids at like 4 months or sooner, and they were recommending that rice cereal and all that crappy stuff, which I talked about in my show last week, if you want to take a look at episode 13. But anyway, so that like rule or recommendation or whatever came about then, when babies were starting solids when they were really, really way too young to actually be starting solids. So they were a lot more likely to have issues with foods that you were giving them, because their bodies and their systems just weren't ready to handle it. So now things have evolved, and for the most part, unfortunately, it's not widely known, but for the most part, we all know that babies should be at least 6 months before they are introduced to anything other than formula or breast milk. And part of that, or, you know, the bulk of that is because that's how long it takes for their gut and their digestive system to be ready for those solids. So it's not quite as important anymore. And for those of you like that I'm freaking out, scaring, like, oh my God, but what if my baby has a reaction? And like, I don't know how to deal with it. Here's what I say to that. So there's a wide spectrum of reactions that your baby could have to certain foods, all the way from like life-threatening anaphylactic type stuff to just like a little bit of uncomfortableness, or like a rash around their face or something like that. So it could be, you know, a wide range of things. So obviously the stuff that we're most worried about is like the life-threatening stuff, right? And either you know that there's a potential for that because either you have a life-threatening allergy or someone in your family has a life-threatening allergy, so you know there might be a chance. And in that case, you want to talk to your doctor about the best way to handle it. And then otherwise, like, you don't know, right? So even if you were doing the wait 3 days rule, if they're going to have a life-threatening reaction, it wouldn't matter, right? Like if you're planning on giving them that one food for 3 days, or if you're planning on them being exposed to it, sorry, just one time. So my advice to you is just, if that if that worries you and that concerns you, just be prepared. Know what your response would be if you see some sort of reaction like that happening. And obviously, it would be, like struggling to breathe or immediate swelling, things like that. So just make sure you know what to look out for and how you would respond if that kind of thing worries you. And then the whole rest of the spectrum of reactions that babies could have to foods are, yeah, you don't want to see your baby uncomfortable, but they're not necessarily something that you have to be extremely worried about, right? So pretty common is like a rash around their face or wherever the food touched. I'm sorry. And then digestive, like GI upset type stuff. And that's the kind of thing that won't show up for like maybe as far as 3 days after they've tried the food, right? So in that case, it's like, all right, well, they're a little bit uncomfortable or they got a little bit of a rash. They had, this handful of foods over the past few days, so we know it's probably one of those. And, a lot of times you can kind of figure it out, like there's certain foods that have more histamines in them than others, meaning that people can be more sensitive to them, and those are like strawberries or tomatoes, citrus, things like that. So, maybe kind of going back through, okay, did they have any of these common foods that could cause a mild reaction? Or, yeah, so you can kind of try to like narrow it down to a few things and then try it again. Like maybe wait a little while to reintroduce some of the foods that they've had the past few days if you have no idea what it was. Just give it some time, try some new stuff, go back to it slowly, and just kind of start to notice if like something starts happening again and again. You obviously want to pay attention if there's a reaction that's kind of concerning to you, but we know it's not life-threatening, so it's not really worth doing like the rigid wait 3 days thing for something that you can kind of figure out on your own. Yeah, your baby might be a little uncomfortable, but as long as, you stick with your comfort level, don't just do it because Michelle Beckner told you to. But yeah, you can usually kind of try to work through any reactions that they have. So for example, Bradley, the first few times he had tomatoes, he got red like anywhere on his face where the tomatoes touched. And it was, the first time we gave him tomatoes, it wasn't just like straight up tomato. It was like either in a sauce that had other veggies in it, and it was usually like a mix of stuff. But I was like, well, I know tomatoes are pretty common to have this kind of reaction, so that's probably what it was. So all we did was I just held off giving him tomatoes for a while, and I don't know, like a month or so, 6 weeks, and then reintroduce it, and then if they still have a reaction, hold off again. But yeah, now Bradley does pretty well with tomatoes. So I hope that's all making sense, and I hope I don't sound like an inconsiderate jerk by being like, oh, well, just like experiment on your baby. That's not what I mean. I just mean, these kind of reactions aren't so serious that you have to like totally worry about it. I don't think it outweighs the fact of having them try a wide variety of foods. So that brings me to my next point. So why does this help prevent picky eating later on? So there's a lot of studies out there that show you have kind of like a window of opportunity between 6 and 12 months of introducing your baby to lots of foods and them like actually wanting to try them and explore and basically eat anything. And that really gets their palate used to all different tastes and flavors and textures, which I talked about actually a little bit last week in my rice cereal show as well. So you have that window of opportunity the first like 6 months that they're eating solids, where they'll pretty much put anything in their mouth, and that's awesome. And then by the time they start to be a little bit, I mean, it's awesome because like they're trying new things, right? I mean, it is not so awesome because they can put everything in their mouth. But anyway, now I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, once they start getting a little bit more mobile, then what do you call it, tendency called neophobia comes in, which is fear of new things. And that's kind of like an innate tendency that humans have. So once you get mobile, like you don't want to be sticking stuff in your mouth. And if you've followed me for a while, I've said this many times, but it's like a survival mechanism. So back when we were hunter gatherers, once toddlers became mobile, you didn't want them to be like wandering off into the woods, popping whatever like berry or mushroom they found into their mouth, right? So as early as 12 months, usually a little bit later, like closer to 18 months, babies start not wanting to try new things or even rejecting things that they've already had before. Part of that is them just realizing they don't have to go along with everything you say, but also part of it is that survival mechanism. So that's just another reason to really try to get those like as big of a variety of flavors and textures into your baby as quickly and as soon as possible, because then hopefully once they get past that neophobia stage, they'll their palate will like remember those different flavors that they've had. So it's totally worth the I would say effort, but it's not really any effort. It's just worth the point of like trying to get them to eat as much stuff as possible when they're willing to actually put it in their mouth, right? So what else did I want to say? That's all I wrote down, but I feel like I had something else in my mind. I hope that's all making sense. Well, that's all I had to say, so thank you for watching. I swear I had more things I wanted to talk about with that, but I've probably been talking for too long anyway. So, again, a great way of preventing picky eating is just starting straight off the bat. If you're breastfeeding, your milk changes flavor with whatever you're eating, so that's an awesome way to introduce them to new stuff. Oh, I just remember what I was going to say. Yay. There was one study I remember reading that said that it's even been shown to prevent picky eating when you're introducing like not just like different tastes like from day to day or from meal to meal, but actually like in one sitting. If you offer them a wide variety of tastes, then that is even better for getting them to be more excited about trying new things. So like at one meal, you don't have to completely overwhelm your baby, but maybe try putting 3 different things on their tray at the same time, and then kind of let them pick and choose what they want to try and what they like. So whatever they like more of, you can give them that. So yeah, that's another thing that kind of goes along with it. So not only like rapid fire flavors and textures from meal to meal or from day to day, but even at one sitting. And again, you want to pay attention obviously to allergies. So if it's a life-threatening thing, hopefully if you have it in your family, like you've talked to your doctor and you know what your plan is at introducing it, but just really make sure you know what to look for, and you kind of prepare mentally what your response is going to be if there is a life-threatening allergy. If it's just like a more mild intolerance, then just use your mom detective skills to figure out what it could be, and then just wait a little while before reintroducing. Talk to somebody like me if you need some guidance on that. Yeah, okay, I think that was about it. And it's a little bit different. So I'm talking about allergies here. I didn't talk at all about dairy allergies or egg or soy or any of those super common ones, but I talked a lot about symptoms of those sort of allergies, which are usually GI type stuff. So yeah, I'll be talking about that kind of stuff more in the future too. So let me know if you learned something. Grab my free guide, 3 Things No One Told You About Starting Solids, by clicking the link. You just have to type in your email. This is the law, actually. Well, for you to then confirm it. Anyway, give me your email so we can be in touch. Grab your free guide. It's got some awesome stuff in it. And if you're interested in my workshop at the Birth Center next Saturday in Wilmington, Delaware, then go to mlbfamilywellness.com/events, and I would love to see you there. And everybody, enjoy your weekend. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Bye.